Hi everyone. Today we're going to talk about how the behaviorism perspectives or the learning theories contributed to ideas in personality theory of psychology. If you haven't watched the Freudian, Neo-Freudian video yet, you probably want to go back and do that first, simply because a lot of the ideas from the behaviorism perspective can be framed almost as direct arguments against some of the ideas that were proposed from the Freudian perspective. So we will get started with our slides here. So we're going to be discussing learning as a basis of personality. So really what the behaviorism theory is focused on is the behaviors that you can see, the behaviors that you learn, the behaviors that you're likely to repeat, the behaviors that didn't work out for you so well, so you're not likely to repeat those. And really the behaviorism perspective focuses on the fact that our personality is a collection of our learned behaviors. They don't care so much about the unconscious processes. They don't care so much about the genetic contributions. They care about the behaviors that you can see, that you can measure, that you can modify, and how those collections of behaviors come together to form your personality. So again, the backbone of behaviorism is focusing on what you can see. And they believe that your personality is shaped by how you behave, that you have certain behaviors that are reinforced, you have certain behaviors that are punished, that reinforcement increases the likelihood of a behavior being repeated, and that punishment decreases the likelihood of a behavior being repeated. And again, those behaviors, how they're collected, how they come together, how they interact, the behaviorism perspective believes that really that is the best explanation of what your personality is. But the interesting thing is that this does get into a bigger debate of what exactly is personality. Is your personality who you are when you are sitting at home by yourself? Or is your personality who you are when you're out interacting with others? Because you might be out with other people and modifying your behaviors for social acceptance based on the rewards and punishments you've received in the past. Is that your true personality? Or is that just your own self-monitoring of your behaviors? And so this gets down into a fundamental debate of how is it that we're defining personality and how is it that we're categorizing personality? But again, the behaviorists would say, well, really personality is your collection of learned behaviors that you're expressing. So one of the most important figures in the behaviorism realm in terms of contributions to personality theory was Bandura. So before Bandura, most of the behaviorist perspectives, the learning perspectives, focused on the reinforcements and punishments that I receive directly. I'm rewarded for this. I'm punished for this. I shape my behaviors based on my experiences. Well, Bandura came along and proposed that it doesn't have to be you. You can see somebody else being rewarded for their behavior. You can see somebody else being punished for their behavior, and that can in turn shape your behavior. And that's one way that the behaviorists really get around not caring so much about the genetic contributions to personality, because there's the argument of, if I'm learning my actions based on how I witnessed my parents behaving, is my repetition of their personality, is it actually genetics, or is it just because I learned it? Either way, I'm acting the same way that my parents acted. So why not go with measuring the behaviors that we can see? So Bandura focused on this idea that he called observational learning, or it was also termed social learning theory. And he really emphasized that this is how we see culture and religion and family influencing our personality, because every day, day in and day out, we are seeing other people within our realm, within our world, being reinforced for some behaviors and being punished for some behaviors. And we're collecting all of these things together, and we're deciding how we're going to behave. The other important idea that Bandura proposed that's significant for personality theory is the idea of self-efficacy. And self-efficacy is the fact that we have a certain level of commitment to our goals, and we have a certain level to which we're able to recover from our setbacks, that we have this innate confidence in our own abilities, and that confidence is going to shape how we interact with the world, because we're either going to believe that we're capable of succeeding, or we're going to believe that we're not. And based on how many of our attempts have been successful, what attempts we've been rewarded for, or what attempts have failed, that's going to have a big play in our level of self-efficacy. And then our self-efficacy in turn is going to affect our commitment, is going to affect our resiliency, is going to affect our drive and our motives. Well, Rotter made an important, it wasn't really a conflict with the idea of self-efficacy, but it just adds another dimension to it. So self-efficacy is your personal belief in your own level of ability, whereas Rotter's locus of control, your locus of control is your belief in the level of control that you have over the outcome of events. And so Rotter claimed that within each of us, as we're interpreting our success or our failures in a specific area, we're not just looking on our abilities to succeed or fail. We're looking at how much of my success or how much of my failure was I in control of. An internal locus of control is where I believe that the outcomes result from my own efforts and my own actions. I got an A on that test because I studied really hard. I failed that test because I slacked off and really didn't study that well. I controlled my actions. My efforts impacted my results that I had. An external locus of control, on the other hand, is where you believe that the outcome was totally outside of your control. I got an A on that test because I got lucky. I failed that test because it was overly hard, the teacher is unfair, whatever it might be. They believe that the outcomes are based on other people, are based on chance, are based on luck, or are based on some level of supernatural or divine intervention. So why is this significant to personality? As your locus of control develops, this is going to influence your coping skills. Research has shown that this is going to influence how prone you are to depression. This is going to influence your level of drive and motivation. And this is also going to influence your level of independence in different areas. So Rotter would claim that within each of us, we have this sense of, am I able to control outcomes or not? Which, going back to the core of behaviorism, a good part of this is based on how have my efforts been reinforced in the past? And then once that locus of control starts to set in, that's going to influence our behaviors. And again, keep in mind the key element of behaviorism, the key element of the learning theories is that personality, at the end of the day, is our collection of how we choose to behave.